Art cannot just be, I've picked up something from there, I'm going to put it here, you better well learn it. It doesn't work. In fact, Unnai Kanada, Pandit Birju Maharaji and Kamal Hassan sir actually had called my students. I was there.
This is our culture, this is our heritage, this is an art form that is still rooted, which we have to take up the responsibility to pass it on to the next generation.
It has to be entertaining. It cannot be the medium of understanding, learning, finding the higher truth, which actually art is meant to do. You can show by uh, adornment, looking at the mirror, looking out, ghungat, searching for the beloved. Everyone comes to class and they're rushing back to work, back to school, back to tuition, those kind of things. Attention spans have become very short. Don't get so stuck with work and study to such an extent that only pressure builds. Learn to love.
இனிய தமிழ் புத்தாண்டு நல்வாழ்த்துக்கள். Vishu Ashamshagal. Every new year begins with a knot. Something that holds, something that connects, and something that starts a story. Welcome to Atelier with Brindha, a conversational space where art breathes and stories find their voice. I'm Brindha, a sari person at heart and entrepreneur by choice, and someone who believes every woman carries a story worth telling. This space is my way of making sure those stories are heard. And today's guest, she has spent her entire life tying that one perfect knot, the kind that holds gunguru, anchors a costume, and binds a soul to the stage. We are stepping into the world of Kathak with the ever gorgeous and phenomenal Jigyasa Giri. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us today.
Thank you, Brindha, for having me.
Thank you. So, let's start with something interesting. My first question to you, what in one emotion that you would like to express in Kathak that words can't?
Shanta Rasa.
Can you do it?
Perhaps you got it. I don't know. Because Shanta Rasa is something that is beyond this entire physicality. And therefore, it may be expressed through dance movement by showing the yogic postures and all of that. But until the dancer is truly peaceful within, she or he is not going to be able to express it. Because whatever it is you are performing, you are a performing artist. So you have to perform a bhava, you cannot become it. So that takes more practice than any other. Shringara, Raudra, Bhaya, everything is possible. It's all very human. But the Shanta Rasa goes beyond that.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. Being born and brought up in Tamil Nadu, and Tamil Nadu is the ground for Bharatanatyam. And how does it feel for you to specialize in Kathak, which is a North Indian style, and then create this very strong Dakshin Gharana, the South Indian style of Kathak?
I actually really thank you for the question because I'm always waiting for someone to ask this because it's a whole journey. It's not just about one. The different styles of Kathak, the Gharana itself means somewhere from which something sprouts or comes up, or that particular teacher or guru who has developed and evolved a certain style in a particular place. So then he or she gets to be known to have, created is a big word, God creates, but to have evolved that particular style. And then over generations, that by word of mouth gets to be known. And therefore, the Lucknow Gharana or the Jaipur Gharana or the Banaras Gharana, these three are the main streams of Kathak, which is the dance form of UP, North India.
Right.
And it has a very rugged history, Kathak itself, because of the invasions of the Mughals, the Britishers, and all of that. What happened with me was that I learned Bharatanatyam as a child, but it was with great difficulty my mother and my Bharatanatyam guru got me on that platform and finally made me do my Arangetram. And I must confess, I was one of the worst dancers. My Aramandi would never happen. I was not interested. That was the point. I wanted to be free of it. But my mother was very sure that she wanted me to learn and be different. And because she could not find anything else, I guess she found a Bharatanatyam teacher for me in Chennai. However, when I was around 15, she being from Mumbai, we used to go for summer vacations to her mother's house. So she took me for a Kathak performance in, I remember it was in Prithvi Theatre. I don't even remember who the artist was. But I do remember that I fell in love. And I told my mom, and I was also very clever. So I told my mom that if you get me someone to teach this, I will learn in Chennai. But I'm not going to learn Bharatanatyam anymore. I can't bend my knees and dance. It's so typical, it's so typical childlike thought process. But she was a magician and she pulled the rabbit out of the hat and she got me my first Kathak guru, Sri Krishna Kumar Dharwarji. And from there, I guess I developed and grew and evolved as a teacher. And when I started, I realized, say, in about a few years, that my style of teaching has to change to evolve and to blend the North Indian style of thought, forget body language, into the South where I am. And I love the South. I know the language, not so well maybe, but still I do know it and I speak it. So how how then can I stand like as though I'm separate from you and say this is a North Indian dance form, the language is only Hindi and Urdu, and this is the body language, your eyes have to be like this, you cannot have the Vinamrata of the South. I cannot do that. That way, I'm not teaching art then, because art is meant to blend, to come together.
Absolutely.
Art cannot just be, I've picked up something from there, I'm going to put it here, you better well learn it. It doesn't work, not according to me. And therefore, I realized that my methodology was changing to fit in, for the dancer to fit into the style, but also for the style to fit into the dancer. And I realized that it is possible. And many years later, a friend of mine in conversation told me that maybe it is an oral tradition for gharanas to come to be known, like the Pandanalu style here also. But in today's day and age, where there is so much plagiarism, there is so much of social media, there's so many things, it's better that you have a registered, certified gharana. And so I decided that we'll call it the Dakshin Gharana of Kathak. It's not really a South Indian style of Kathak. It is Kathak with a lovely, beautiful southern garnish.
Wonderful, wonderful. So inspiring to know your journey from where you were as a student and your passion to become a guru, a teacher, and to pass on this beautiful art form of Kathak to the next generation. That is really inspiring. In
Thank
fact,
you so
I'm
much.
getting goosebumps when you.
Thank you.
To me, any form of art is an expression of emotion. I'm a sari person and I express myself through fabric, the different forms of art and weaves that we get across India, so rich in culture and
Absolutely.
heritage. So, one question I have is if dance has a mood, what is it today for you?
If dance has a mood, what is it for me today?
Yeah.
Like the flow of sari fabric. Shringar. Because Shringar is love in various forms. So even in the negative emotions, there is always love at the base of it all. If there is no love, there can be no hate. If there is no love, there can't be fear of loss. So Shringar, in its various moods, definitely is the mood of dance.
Wonderful. Very beautifully said. How do you show Shrinkar in Kathak?
In many ways, you can show by uh, adornment, looking at the mirror, looking out, ghungat, searching for the beloved. So many
Wow.
ways.
Wow.
Sorrow, he's gone away. What will I do? Anything. from any range. It's the entire rainbow of emotions.
Beautiful. Beautiful. What do you think is the hardest part of being a classical dancer today? And do you think in this fast content world, classical dance is being underrated?
Classical dance cannot be underrated. That's because it's a root form of learning. And India is a land of tradition, deep tradition, rooting. And if you look at our state, Tamil Nadu, where we are, the, the rooting of culture is very, very prominent, predominant in every family. A boy, a girl has to go and learn something traditional, classical, whether it is art in terms of Bharatanatyam, dance forms. Nowadays, of course, in fact, more than 70% of my students are from South India, which is a fantastic feeling because they're coming out to learn a different dance form, but they're learning a classical dance form. Same way with music, instruments. So our country is too rich in the tradition of classical art that it cannot be diluted in that sense. It cannot be forgotten. However, yes, today's day and age is such a fast paced one. There's an education system that burdens our children. There's work culture that's crossing the oceans literally. So we work at different time zones. There's no such thing as day and night left. So rest is out of the window. And then there is, of course, social media, the real boogie. Because it's not that social media is wrong or work is wrong or study culture is wrong, but it's how much and how we choose to adapt to it, how we choose to be above it rather than become its slave.
10 years back, when I went and said that I'm going to take up sari as my career, I was so passionate about saris and I love seeing my mom wearing saris every day, the way she carries herself.
Wow.
It's so amazing. So when I went and said that I'm going to take this as my career, a lot of people said that's a business that's going to fade away in 10 years. But something very strong in my mind said that no, it shouldn't. This is our culture, this is our heritage, this is an art form that is still rooted, which we have to take up the responsibility to pass it on to the next generation. So the young generation is very passionate, and I feel that they are so rooted to the culture and they have the thrive to stick on to what India is and the heritage that we belong to.
I agree with you, especially with this latest Gen Alpha, what they call.
Exactly.
I forget from millennials to Gen Z, Gen whatever. But I know that I have a Gen Alpha set right now of students who I'm so happy to see because I see a spark in their eyes. I see that they want to learn. It's coming back. See, everything goes around and comes back. And the sari, of course, and even if I'm digressing, I must say it, my mother-in-law loved Prashanti saris. And whenever she was in Chennai, she would come and I would have to take her to your CIT colony store. So I remember it very clearly. And she has picked up quite a few beauties from there. Many of which I think I have inherited too.
Thank you, thank you. I was in love seeing your silk cotton today. Wow, silk cotton. It's Prashanti.
That's true.
That's where we started off with.
Yes.
Amazing.
So that's right. You're right about the younger generation. It's also because the parents of this particular generation are the ones that I think deviated most. They came in the crossfire of social media, Western influence, a lot of corporate shifts in lifestyle. All of that started with, I think, that generation, which is now parents of these children. So they are seeing what they missed out. So they're becoming more responsible parents. And I think that is going to help bring the shift back. So even if there was a little diversion or digression away from our root and culture, it's just like a branch. But the rooting is so strong that you just can't uproot.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So our traditions, whether it's saris, Kathak, Bharatanatyam, violin, anything, they're just here to stay. And in fact, they're so global now. Everyone knows about our traditions.
Yes, yes. So, how does costume play an important role in Kathak?
Costume. I love costuming. I do all the costuming for my dance school, so I love it. And it plays a huge role. If a student comes to a Kathak class, they have a dress rule, dress code. You can't come in jeans and t-shirt and dance Kathak because you're not in that frame then. So every role you play, you have to play it the way it is meant to be played, whether it is the role of a student or a mother or a friend or a wife or a dancer, you have to be in that setting. The setting has to be right. So, in that sense, costume or the dress that you wear does matter. And only then can you project to an audience the actual flavor of the dance form.
Absolutely.
And Kathak being a dance form that went through a rugged history from the Hindu temples to the Islamic influence, the Persian influence, the costumes itself are so varied, from the lehenga choli to the anarkali, the topi, because we have in Kathak bhajan, we have ghazal, we have tumri, we have Sufi. It's a beautiful confluence of two rich cultures in the world, which um, unfortunately fight everywhere else, but not in Kathak. They come together in Kathak.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Well said. What is something about Kathak that people assume is wrong?
Is wrong?
That people assume
Is not.
is not.
Yes, of course, that's a good question. I've noticed of late that art itself, we'll come to Kathak, but art itself is in modern times, especially in India, as I see, uh, has become more of entertainment. It has to be entertaining. It cannot be the medium of understanding, learning, finding the higher truth, which actually art is meant to do. Art teaches. So, in the olden days, if you see how the history of Kathak, coming to Kathak, if you see the history of Kathak, these storytellers and bards used to go from temple to temple in the courtyard, tell stories of gods and goddesses, how one should live, how one should not live, those kind of themes. And the people watching would learn and imbibe from that. So, it was a medium of actually learning in an entertaining way, in a way that would sustain memories and beauty. But as we progressed in civilization, as it all became theater art, performing art, stage, where money started playing a part, which is necessary, it's it's come to be as though art has become just an entertainment now. So even if you say experiment with something, a theme, and you do something different, unless it has, like say, the anarkalis flying, the chakras, the spins of Kathak, the heady, dizzy footwork, um, the sustenance power of the rasika itself, I think, has dwindled. So, yes, in that sense, there is a dilution, and I don't much enjoy that aspect when I look at it. But then again, I have to tell myself that everyone and everything has a place, and everyone has a right to their opinions. And in today's age, again, it comes back to the fact that attention spans are becoming so less, so short, and people are so used to um, getting what they want. Artists also bring that to the platform. So it's become habit. It's like movies, commercial cinema versus art film, the violence that people want to watch, which you don't have to, you know. So things like that. Yes, I do feel that the entire world of dance, classical dance, has gone through that shift, and also the instant gratification aspect. In the olden days, or why I say olden days, my time, it's not old, very old, we had to learn. We had classes, we would study the art for 2 hours, 3 hours. Time wouldn't be a factor. But today, everything is time bound. So everyone comes to class and they're rushing back to work, back to school, back to tuition. those kind of things. Attention spans have become very short. Children hardly read. Why children? Even I'm not able to read now so much as I used to because of the television, the screen, the phone. So we have to move with the times. I agree with that. But at the same time, the root of art is in being a very meditative, therapeutic teacher. That's the role of art, any kind of art form.
I was just about to come there. So, what is your take on Kathak or any art form that is being depicted in movies now? For example, Mardala and Unnai Kanada's
Yes.
Kannondrum.
Yeah.
So, what is your take on showcasing art forms?
Not a problem at all, actually. In fact, Unnai Kanada, Pandit Birju Maharaji and Kamal Hassan sir actually had called my students. I was there. So he choreographed using my students here in the studio, and then it was videographed, and his students, wherever the shooting was, danced it. So we were part of that whole process actually. But my point is, if you ask me, Bollywood did a great job. In fact, it did a great job in spreading the word of Kathak to the common man, because through cinema, people learnt about Kathak. How did it even reach us? Mardala was the song seeing which my senior most student, who's a teacher in the dance school today, she's been with me since she was in school, and today her children are in school. And she came saying, I saw Madhuri Dixit dancing this and I want to learn.
Wow.
So I told her, what you saw is beautiful, yes, but that's not what you're going to learn. You learn to use what you will learn even that way. That's how you have to look at it. So I have no say in the matter in that. I have no opinion really on that. Everything has a place, and it's just sometimes misrepresented. For instance, when they show Tawayaf, Mujra, and they show it in a very negative way, in a very uh, vulgar fashion, then that is hurtful.
Right.
It's hurtful even as a woman, forget as a dance form. But, well, what can you do? What can you do?
So, you said your mother was the one who pushed you into learning
Oh, yes.
Bharatanatyam and Kathak, right? So, what did your mother see in you, that spark that perhaps you didn't see in yourself yet?
Well, she named me Jigyasa, which means thirst for knowledge.
Curious.
Curious. Actually, it means thirst for the ultimate knowledge, the spiritual. But she was like that. She was, what do you say? She would devour information, knowledge. She was a doctor. She was a gynec obstetrician. She delivered both my babies. She was a psychiatrist, hypnotic therapist.
Wow.
And in her last days, while she was battling cancer, she studied homeopathy and topped the board. So that was the kind of person she was. She was a crazy achiever. And when she was young, she lived in Mumbai, and those days learning to dance was considered not for good families. So when she wanted to learn, her neighbor used to learn Bharatanatyam. And she used to go to the terrace to watch. And when she asked her grandfather and grandmother whether she could learn, she got a slap and said, "You want to nachna hai?" Meaning, that way. So that dream, as all mothers have dreams for themselves, which pass on to their children, passed on to me.
One thing that I wanted to ask you, your Mahabharata narration in Tamil in Kathak at the Kabalishwara temple.
Wow, you really researched. I shouldn't use the word stalked. I'm so glad. Kalamurtum Dayam.
Yes.
Yes. So actually, a few years ago, I write. I write a lot. I love to write, and I write in English because I think in English. Good, bad, I don't know, but that's what happens. And I started writing a little bit to tell my music composer that I want a 20-minute piece on the Draupadi Vastraharan. But I couldn't stop myself, and the entire script happened in English. So it became a 1 hour, 20-minute dance drama.
Wow.
And it was a dance drama which was on a canvas of dialogues, narrations, poetry, recitation. No music in that sense, no songs. So that also is a big experiment which which people can love, which they have loved, and some can just discard completely, which is also fine.
But that's the most difficult thing,
Yeah.
right? Dance, someone always relates to music and dance
Exactly.
together.
That's what I'm saying.
So when there is no music,
There's music, it's very musical, but it doesn't have song and dance. But it is a dance drama. So it's a very theatrical dance drama. It's an experiment. And I love it. I have watched the rehearsals. In English, it's called Dancing Illusions and Stillness. It's very spiritual. And in Tamil, it's called Kalamurtum Dayam. So when the English did well and I finished with that, I was having a conversation with someone and then they said that, you should, what would you like next to do? I said, I'd love to translate it in Tamil. I want to do something in Tamil. I have done Mahakavi Bharatiya's Payumolini Enakku in Tamil and I've given it a very different interpretation. The lovers in the song being the city of Chennai as the man and the woman's perspective as every dweller, all of us. So that was a very nice interpretative song and we composed it, recomposed it and everything. There's an English poem in it. So we have worked with Tamil. But a full-fledged production, I hadn't. So this friend's husband, he said, I'll put you on immediately to, Marabin Muttaya sir. And I said, what? And he called him in front of me and I was so taken aback. I said, okay. And it just happened. So then he read the English script. I said, he'll just say it's not nice or something. I don't know. But he said, I'd do it. And he did it within a week. And he said, let's not call it Dancing Illusions and Stillness because it's when you come into a language that is local, which is our own language, then we need to be more direct. So let's call it Kalamurtum Dayam. So I don't know if I'm pronouncing it well, but I love saying Kalamurtum Dayam.
Wonderful. And I also wanted to ask you about the cookbook that you had written that won the Best Vegetarian Cookbook Award in 2006 across the world.
So before I went headlong into Kathak, it was just me teaching my daughter. So a friend of mine who I met after many years, Pratibha Jain, she and me were in school together. And she is someone who writes a lot of spiritual books and does a lot of reading. So, and she used to be a student of philosophy. So she had a professor in Bangalore who she used to visit every month for her, whatever her theses or whatever that philosophers do. And I used to go to Bangalore to learn Kathak from Guru Maya Rao. So my husband's aunt, Pedda Attaya, eldest Attaya, she used to live in Bangalore and she was a fantastic cook and she loved feeding people. So my father-in-law, that's her brother, and my mother-in-law also used to tell me that you like to cook so much, you should learn before, her time is up. So when I used to go to Bangalore, it never struck me to go to her. But when Pratibha and I happened to go together, she said, let's go and meet your aunt whom you speak so much of. And when we went there, she started giving us recipes. We started writing down. When that became into a real project, I don't think any of us really remembers. I think it was at a lunch at MTR when her brother was there and he said, let's make this into a book and we make a tribute book for her. So at 82, when she was 82 or 83, the book came out and it was called Cooking at Home with Peddatta. Pedda Attaya becomes Peddatta because when my husband was little, he couldn't pronounce Pedda Attaya, so he used to call her Peddatta. So we kept that. And it's a very homely book. And somehow we just attempted to send it for the awards and, well,
Wow.
the rest is history.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So you've spent your entire life with so much of passion to educate girls and find their path through movement. There are so many young girls who are watching this show today. What is that one thing that you would like to share to them who are unsure of their path?
What a beautiful question and so beautifully worded. Thank you, Brinda. What would I say to you youngsters is that Find your passion. Take your time. There's no rush, there's no competition except in your mind. Today's generations look for one upmanship more than trying to find themselves. So it's not about one upmanship, also. Everyone's very earnest in what they do. I see youngsters with such an earnest intent, they have it all in them. They just need to find that one focal path. And that happens when you don't deviate too much. Like, for instance, if you've decided to learn Kathak, then you should give yourself at least a year with one dance school or teacher, whomever you choose, whether it is Bharatanatyam, Kathak, violin, whatever you want to learn, but learn something definitely. Don't get so stuck with work and study to such an extent that only pressure builds. Learn to love what you're doing. And in my dance school, I'm always saying, learn to enjoy learning. Forget performance, forget everything else. Just enjoy learning, because that is something we don't give ourselves time for. Even in cooking, to learn how to cook from someone elder is different than YouTube. YouTube is great fun. I use it too. But, learn to enjoy timelessness, and then you'll pick up whatever you want.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jigyasa ji, for
Thank you.
joining us today. It was such a wonderful conversation we had and truly inspiring. And I have no words.
Thank you, Brindha.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
inspiring and interesting to speak to you, the owner of such a beautiful sari brand, Prashanti.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All the best.
Thank you. May we continue to celebrate stories told through movement, traditions carried through fabric, and the strength of every woman who expresses herself in her own unique way. Until next time, because every art form has an emotion and every emotion has to be heard. And we have a lot of interesting personalities coming up, so stay tuned. Atelier with Brindha.